Thank you. Well, it's great to be in front of you all, albeit virtually. Yes, my name's Andrew Tripe. I've been Mayor of Whanganui for nearly 3 years. I say nearly 3 years because we're in the middle of elections right now. And we've got billboards up and Facebook's going, all that things you have to do to get re-elected. So I've had nearly 3 years in the role, and I'm enjoying it and keen to have another go. That's the focus for right now. But look, I'll probably go back very briefly. I've lived all around the world, but came back to Whanganui, my hometown, in 2010 with my wife and three young children at the time, as an option, as a place to live. When my wife said to me, never ever bring me to Whanganui, I didn't think we'd ever come back. But when you've got three small kids and you're looking for a lifestyle change, then it becomes more and more attractive. But I was born in 1969, the day Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, and went to a little country school, Indigenous school, just down the road from where we lived in the middle of nowhere, and went there for about 4 or 5 years, and went to a little prep school, and ultimately onto Whanganui Collegiate, which is very much, for those that don't know, it's quite a prestigious school, if you like. In fact, I had Prince Edward as my house tutor at school. But ultimately, I went out into the world and managed to get a decent career behind me, especially in the corporate world and consulting world with companies like IBM, Deloitte Consulting, National Australia Bank. I lived in Melbourne. I've got family in Melbourne. In fact, if anyone's heard of JB Ware, stockbroker, he's my great-great-great-grandfather. So I've got very strong connections in Australia. But anyway, ultimately, we came back after living in Melbourne and working for National Australia Bank, arrived in Whanganui, my hometown, and where I was born, and it's been great, and great place for our kids to grow up. In 2022, at the start of the year, I was approached by a few elected members at our council to run for mayoralty, and I thought it was a bit of a joke, but they were quite serious. And I went back and spoke to my wife about it, and expecting her to say that's a silly idea, but she said, I think you'd be really good at it. So I put a campaign team together, ran for the mayoralty, having not been around the council table before, and got the phone call to say, you're our new mayor. So that was on the 8th of October 2022, and it's quite hard to beat an incumbent, but I guess I came out with very clear messaging, and also demonstrated a need for change. And I think I've worked really hard in these last 3 years in what's arguably the most difficult time in local government in a generation, both in New Zealand but also around the world. In fact, Birmingham City Council in the UK has gone bankrupt, so it just shows how difficult it is for councils. But we've navigated through these difficult times to a point where I think our council's in a very good shape. I won't bore you with the detail, but we have 78 councils in New Zealand, and Whanganui has the lowest average rates increase in the country. And not only that, but it's going to be low again next year as well. We've also increased our investment in infrastructure and doing the basics. We've paid off additional debt, and we have a very high Standard & Poor's credit rating as well. So we're going well. It's been hard yakka, but well worth the effort. Early on in my mayoralty, I had my uncle, who's well known in town, as my family are quite well known in town in Whanganui. He had an image of Christ standing 40 foot tall in Majestic Square, the town centre, a number of years ago, and saw saw Christ standing there. The paradox is that my wife and I bought the building right on the town square. And on the top floor of the building, I have a tenant in there who's a Christian. And I decided to start a monthly prayer group for the city, for those to pray over the city from the town square inside his room there, and inside his space. So, and it's quite apt because obviously my uncle had this image of Christ standing there, but also having a Christian in this space, but also in the middle of town. It means we can push prayer out north, south, east, west from the centre, from the heart. And so we've been meeting diligently every month to pray over Whanganui. And the motto for Whanganui is sans Dieu rien, which is a French word meaning, French phrase meaning without God, nothing. And so with God, everything, without God, nothing, basically. And so it's been very powerful, I think, for me to be a Christian mayor who has that particular phrase in the bones and the blood of this district, this area. And I guess the other thing I'd probably point out is that navigating through the last 3 years has not just been financially challenging, but also socially challenging for the whole world, actually. But also for Whanganui is no different. I've had to work through some very challenging criticism and things like that, which frankly doesn't worry me that much. It's I've realised I've got quite thick skin, and also I do sense that there's a lot of people praying for me in Whanganui, and I think that helps get me through, and knowing that I'm not walking alone. So yeah, look. There's been the last 3 years, as I said, have been challenging financially. But when I got in there, I've put a plan together, and we've managed to get our rates down to below inflation, and sustainable increases going forward as well. But for me, ultimately, when I first walked into the job, you don't get a handover being mayor, and I walked into my job on the first day, and I thought, wow, actually got the job. So what does a mayor actually do? So I, the first 6 words actually that came to mind were serve our community, lead the direction. So serve the community is about serving, being the least, being the last. So the first thing that popped into my head when I said that was moving my car park from the very first car park to the last in the car park. So council bureaucracy meant that took about 6 weeks to happen, but we got there. And leading the direction was about taking us forward into the future. So I guess that's anchored me all the way through my mayoralty, and continues to take me forward, along with without God, nothing, knowing that God is the foundation for this district. And when you've got a strong foundation, you can stand strong as well. So that's probably, I don't know, there's probably enough. I think I've spoken probably, I don't know how long I'm supposed to speak for, but there's a start anyway.
Good. Andrew, if you could just go through some of the prayer points that you had.
Yeah, I'll put those in.
They are in the chat, I think.
I'll put them in the chat. I've got. So I didn't actually do that beforehand, but those are good ones. The ones I had, I've just posting now as well.
Great.
My apologies. It's been pretty full days lately, so because I'm actually doing the mayor job and campaigning, and it's quite hard work. But also, I've got my own I've got 4 businesses as well, so plus family to look out after. So it's yeah, busy times. But I'm not feeling sorry for myself. It just is what it is. But anyway, that's what I've got down there is a breakthrough in worldwide social division. We've seen Charlie Kirk, his assassination recently, and that was devastating. But that is because of social division ultimately, and it's also because we have evil in our world. The second one I've got there is an awakening and revival of God's truth and word. And I am hoping that because of all the issues and the challenges that people are having, it will lead to some kind of revival, which is starting to happen, particularly with young people around the world. The third one I've got here is protection of Whanganui's motto, without God, nothing. So on Durian. And that is incredibly important because for me, there are people that want to challenge that want to get rid of that motto. And so I want to, in my next term, in the hope to get in again, I want to do something to cement that into its constitution. And fourthly, the re-election's coming up, and I'd like to pray for my own re-election, but also for other Christians to be to be elected around the country as well. There's only 2 Christians of 13 on our council, and so it's I'm a minority, and I've shared my faith with everyone. They know that I'm a Christian, but it's if you're there, as a minority, it's quite difficult. And I've also introduced a Christian prayer to the start of council meetings as well, which has been actually went down pretty well. It wasn't overly challenged, and I just did it. I do it in te reo and Māori first, and then in English, and using the name of God and the power of the word Amen is, I think, very important. So yeah, there we go. And you've also got some other ones there around, which are also absolutely apt as well. You've one of those, number 4 there, spiritual renewal and hope in Jesus Christ across the region is also there. Healing for isolated and vulnerable communities, not just isolated communities, but also today I was, for example, dropping off some pamphlets in a retirement village, and I found a number of older persons sitting there by themselves doing puzzles and watching TV, and there's a lot of lonely people out there. And unity and boldness among churches, this is incredibly important. To me, quite frankly, the church is lost around the world. If you look at Revelation chapter 2 and 3, you'll see the 7 churches which are apt for Jesus' time. They're apt for today, but they're also apt for our future as well, and they represent the churches that we've got. There's only 2 churches, the Church of Smyrna and the Church of Philadelphia, that are not what's the word? Criticized by Christ, and a number of other ones have what they're doing well, but also what they're not doing well. And I think if we look around the churches today, I am quite devastated about the lukewarmness of our churches, the lack of boldness, the lack of courage in our church community. It's safely turning up on a Sunday to go to church, but not evangelizing. And Matthew 28:19, go to all the world and make disciples of all nations. I think there's a lot of apathy in churches. And certainly jobs and training and pathways for younger people is incredibly important. I've signed our council up for the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, which is an initiative where we get funding to help young people into jobs. And I also became a patron of the Limited Services Volunteer Program, which is a program for young people all around New Zealand to participate in a 6-week program to uh, yeah, go through a 6-week program to learn how to cook and clean and make their bed and iron a shirt and get their CV ready. And often they've got a lot of addiction issues. These 18 to 24-year-olds, so drugs, alcohol, gambling issues. They're lost, lonely, hopeless. And 6 weeks later, I went back, and it was unbelievable, the transformation in these people. Yeah, the hope of our future is in our young people.